Hi there, welcome to Terraland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Cancer energy. And like usual on this channel, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Cancer energy. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Cancer energy, because we all have free will and we have to make decisions in our life. And some people could be debating within themselves right now. You know, in our high vibrational nature of having hope and faith and belief in ourselves and in our dreams and in love, we could want to live life differently than we've been living it. Change some habits, change jobs, friendships, relationships, maybe just treat ourselves nicer, you know. But that can be difficult because the bottom row can represent, you know, staying in our comfort zone. We have certain habits and it's hard to change habits. It also might require us to step out of our comfort zone. Maybe we'd have to speak the truth. Maybe we'd have to tell people we want to live our life differently than we've been living it. And all those things can be difficult. So some people could be debating within themselves. And there's always going to be other people in the world that have worked through some of those issues and they are going to move forward in life differently. Some other people don't have an interest, you know, we're happy living our life the way we live it. Sometimes, though, when we move forward in life kind of differently, some people in our life are okay with it, other people aren't okay with it, and it can be particularly difficult if we do want to move forward in life differently and say it's a close friend, family member, or romantic interest that kind of doesn't want to move forward with us in that way or isn't supportive of it. So, we're going to read this. I'm using the Wheel of the Year Tarot for this reading. Just different images on the card, so it might give us a little different understanding of a story of what's going on. And at the end, we're going to ask what could be a possible outcome that people don't see coming, depending on if they harness a more high vibrational Cancer energy or a more worldly, shadowy Cancer energy. So the reason for the bottom row's reading is the Emperor, which is Aries energy. Underneath that, we have the Ten of Cups. Underneath that, we have the Two of Swords with the baby outside. You know, we all have to decide, you know, what we're going to align with is what the Ten of Cups can mean. What is my truth? What motivates and inspires me? What do I think will make me happy? Am I going to align with my more shadowy nature and I'm going to burp it and feed it and grow it to adulthood? Or am I going to align with my more loving, hopeful, believing nature and I'm going to burp it and feed it and grow it to adulthood? Which one, you know, we all have our inner child nature, either our more immature inner child nature or our more hopeful, believing nature. Which one are we going to align with? And then if we're in relationships with other people, are we on the same page or are we kind of in a more mismatched relationship? So, in the bottom row, we have a card not showing itself. Then we have the Nine of Wands, the Five of Cups, and the King of Swords. So, we could be defensive is what the Nine of Wands talks about. The Five of Cups can talk about, you know, we've all had relationships in our past that didn't work out the way we wanted. And that could be something that stops us from seeing the truth. The King of Swords can be our self-protective, defensive nature. I'm defensive of love because I'm afraid I'm going to get hurt. And so then Aries energy is about the self. A person could decide, I think I'll be happy making life maybe more about myself in a kind of a shadowy way, like a self-protective way. And I'm also defensive. In this picture, the King of Swords is facing this way. I'm not going to get like in a long-term relationship. When we get in relationships with other people, it's like we create a baby energetically. Some people create them physically, but we create a new energy when we get in relationships with someone. It's kind of like we gave birth to something new. And some people aren't willing to do that. And in high vibe, a baby would be love. And the Two of Swords kind of what we think is just and fair, and some people are stuck about listening to their intuition and giving birth to anything new. Some people could be in a relationship. This person kind of looks like a doctor to me. This is a elderly feminine. Sometimes we can be repeating a pattern where we're a caregiver in a relationship. We could know other people who are defensive, haven't worked through some issues of their past that stop them from moving forward. And sometimes we play that caregiving role in people's life more so than just a supportive, encouraging friend. We get dating them and we marry them, you know? And so then, you know, that can stop us from giving birth to anything new. And sometimes even when people see the truth that maybe when I got in a relationship, maybe we were both kind of defensive, we both could have had issues from our past that we were kind of maybe more focused on than seeing the truth and loving ourselves and kind of doing this work within ourselves. And then we can go get in relationships with other people who are kind of on that same page in life. And then, you know, we'll stay in that relationship if we're both putting in work and effort to heal from past pain and heartbreak, to both align with our more hopeful, believing nature. Then together, we're going to hope that we do that. Sometimes, though, we might find out that during the course of a relationship that we harness this energy differently and we didn't know it. The Tower card, okay? So the Tower card can talk about the truth of the foundation that we operate from. And one person isn't aligned with their more unstable shadowy nature. They are someone who maybe kind of has hope and faith and belief in truth and love and justice. They also could have been wounded from relationships that didn't work out, but they still have hope and faith and belief in love. And they get in relationships with people, but they don't realize some of those people kind of do align with their more, I don't have hope and faith and belief in love. I might have some others. I might be self-defensive. Maybe people can be hiding why a previous relationship didn't work out, because the Tower can talk about something that didn't work out. And some people are hiding why a relationship didn't work out. And then they could try to present themselves, though, to other people. Well, that one didn't work. Those people kind of loved and believed in themselves and wanted to be in relationships with other people, more hopeful and believing in love. And that wasn't my truth. But of course, I don't want people to know that. So that didn't work out. So let me go find someone else who's kind of defensive and sad, and I'll go present myself as a just and fair and loving person to them. And maybe some people like to have this type of relationship dynamic. They like to feel and they view themselves as like this just and fair and loving person. It's just that they don't want to give birth to anything new. However it is that a relationship starts out and kind of being in this defensive, sad energy, they maybe never plan to work through those issues within themselves. And then they don't want other people to work through those issues. And you can get attracted to being in a relationship with them because they can come across as these just and fair and loving people. But then over time, you kind of realize that they want to keep moving forward, but moving forward in these energies in a more shadowy way, which shadowy Aries is about maybe being a little bossy and controlling and a little bit more about themselves. Can be about indulging in the relationship. The King of Swords can talk about living more from their mind than their heart, from their kind of defensive nature. Some people are more immature and they've maybe made some foolish mistakes in a previous relationship, but they don't want to see the truth of it, and they think the way they live their life is just and fair, just that other people weren't willing to indulge them in their poor behavior. So they want to maybe be in relationships but they kind of want to keep giving birth to the same thing over and over and over again. Let's do it this way. Let's never really do this work on these things that can make us unstable or fearful or insecure or defensive or prideful or egotistical or materialistically focused. Let's keep doing life like that. And then when people get in that workplace, friendship, organization, romantic relationship, they're moving forward, kind of having hope and faith and belief in love that they're going to give birth to something new based on love. And then they can find out that they were kind of more in a mismatched relationship. And either someone doesn't want to be in a more formal commitment, or someone has this way of living life, and that's what the bottom row can represent. I have a way of viewing life that I think is just and fair, that emotionally I love, and that's how I want to keep living my life. Well, when you're working together with other people, it's not just about them and what they love, and it's about working together with people cooperatively. Let's jump up to the top row. We have the Five of Pentacles. So, it's also the reason why the reading came out. And the Five of Pentacles is Taurus energy, and it has to do with our philosophy of life that influences our decisions that we make in a relationship, and also kind of what our truth is and kind of what we think is just and fair. And some people do align Taurus as earth sign energy, and some people, in their free will, we have the free will to have hope and faith and belief in love, and love and intuition is kind of what guides the decisions in our life at a core foundation. Or we kind of reject that and we say, no, I need to work with these things of the world, and I need to maybe be practical and logical, and I might want to look like a boss in the world, and I might want to have these things that other people have. But some people don't really want to connect in with and operate from their more emotionally intuitive nature. I prefer to, we're emotionally complex human beings, and it's confusing, right? And so some people are like, I find them confusing. I don't want to live my life where I learn all these lessons in life, because high vibe Aries of the Emperor is where you learn all these lessons in life. I've learned how to make decisions from my heart, from my mind, from my 3D world, from my creative, passionate nature. And I've learned that all four of them are equally important. But not everybody has come to that conclusion. Some people could reject their more loving nature. I don't find that as valuable. If you were to look at the aspects of yourself like a pie or a pie chart, no, it's me, the world, emotionally indulging myself, and maybe the more emotionally loving component. In tarot, the Lover's card used to be called the Choice card, and the Devil card looks just like in the Rider-Waite deck, it looks just like the Lover's card, except people have chains and shackles on their neck. And so it can be more fearful of love, more controlling, shadowy Libra, which is like the law and order, and Aries, fire sign energy, being a boss. Sometimes some people, whether they're the masculine cards, don't have to represent a man. It can just how people present themselves in the world. People can present themselves as very just and fair and stable. Aries energy, they could look like a boss in the world in some way. It can be about attraction and things like that. Some people look very successful in the world, and everybody can present themselves in the world any way they want. The feminine figures kind of talk about how we think and feel. And some of the people that are could be in a more shadowy worldly energy, this kind of reminds me of like, those storybook stories, the person up in the tower and imprisoned. Some people keep their more emotional nature imprisoned, in their mind. You could look at the top row as being, or the top level being their mind, and they keep their more emotionally intuitive nature imprisoned, and it's their fire nature that kind of runs their life. That I am more motivated and inspired by these things of the world, by me, to protect myself. I'm afraid of being hurt. I don't want to do love. I find my emotions confusing. But I can have sex with people, and I can use my, the fact Nine of Wands can be Sagittarius, can be kind of an immature player. That's fire sign energy also, just like Aries. I can use, and the wands can be communication. The King of Swords is about communication and our intellect. I can use my passion, my creativity, my sexuality, my emotions, my thoughts, my words, my way I present myself in the world, my status and my image. I can use all those things and in a relationship to create the illusion I'm a more emotionally balanced, motivated by love type of person than I really am. The only problem is when other people get in a relationship with them, other people kind of realize that and they're like, wait a minute, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. And then on top of it, they might be kind of bossy and controlling, whether they're male or female. And I thought everybody was going to be just and fair and make good decisions, and I thought we were going to move forward and give birth to something based on love, but they seem to kind of block that path within themselves, and they want to keep moving forward just the way it is. And whether you take a job and they're like, oh yeah, you should work here, we're great, and we're really just and fair, and we're motivating and inspiring to everyone, and then with this one, normally the Nine of Wands is about being defensive. Some people were like, oh, okay, I trust these people. I will move forward with them. I'll kind of let go of my defenses to move forward with them. And then as they do, over time, they can start to see that, oh, wait, I think someone... if you're not being truthful and honest and just and fair and acting with character and integrity and being authentic, that's when eventually people kind of listening to their intuition realize that maybe someone is in the relationship motivated and inspired by something else, which could be, I got in the relationship because the Nine of Wands can also be referred to as like the wounded warrior. I was wounded. Something didn't work out the way I wanted it. I'm sad. I thought this was a good idea. I want to indulge in a relationship with someone. I want to have a new beginning, like move forward in life with someone else, but I still haven't done some work within myself to see the truth about some issues. When a relationship or a job, whatever it is, doesn't work out the way we want, we need to look at ourselves. If nothing else, what lessons did I have to learn from that life experience? But how could I have been in more codependent energy? Maybe I didn't have good boundaries. Maybe I hadn't healed from a past relationship when I got in this relationship. Maybe when I went to go get in that relationship or take that job, I didn't listen to my intuition. It seemed to make practical, logical sense, And we've all got lessons to learn about listening to our intuition. And if we learn the lessons we were meant to learn from it, and we kind of stand up for ourselves and what we think is just and fair, and sometimes that was the whole purpose of why we could have been drawn and attracted to certain people, because I think we're drawn and attracted to people, and we've got to listen to our intuition, or we're going to kind of repeat some old patterns. But to get us to listen to our intuition, to help us get clear about our truth, what our truth is, what our truth isn't, maybe to help us learn to stand up for ourselves and make these good decisions in our life and stand up for what we believe in, because we can indulge poor behavior in ourselves and in others. We maybe have to learn to have better boundaries. Maybe have to learn to take this inspired action, because High Vibe Nine of Wands is about higher learning and education. We can be in more codependent energy, like hey, somebody come help me. I'm sad, or this didn't work out the way I wanted. We have to learn to do this work within ourselves to love ourselves instead of always being in more codependent energy, looking for someone to save us. Because there's people in the world that are looking for people that are wounded and hurt. I'm going to come in and get in a relationship with that person. I'm not going to tell them I'm not operating and motivated by love. I'm going to indulge myself in this relationship for as long as it works for me. If they don't ever stand up for themselves, and if they think this is just and fair and this is how they want to live their life, perfect. As long as it works for me, I'll stay in it. And so it's all trying to get us to have good boundaries, learn to love ourselves, heal from past pain and heartbreak, see the truth that we maybe need to make better decisions in our life, and learn the lessons we were meant to learn from all these different people we've come in contact with in the world, so we don't act like that ourselves. If part of what got us in it was we were kind of immature, we wanted to feel better, we thought this made logical, practical sense, and then the things that we chose to invest our time, energy, and effort into that we thought this was going to make us happy, and it didn't. Are we willing to see what needs to change within us? And are we willing to see the truth about people we had gotten in a relationship? Oh, yep, they were immature. Yep, they were bossy. Yep, they were live more from their mind than their heart. So that next time I meet people who kind of have similar traits and characteristics, or they definitely show me that is how they live their life, and that's not the truth maybe of who I am, or at least not anymore. And I know I don't like to be in relationships with people like that. Why am I going to go get in a relationship with a bossy, controlling person if I've already been in a relationship with a bossy, controlling person? Why am I attracted to bossy, controlling people? Is it their looks? Is it because it looks like, I go more on outward appearances than really maybe getting to know what drives and motivates people? And because I could be attracted to them, and because I want these things of the world that I want to manifest, like being in a relationship or starting a family. And then sometimes with some people in our life, we kind of did have to speak our truth, and some people right now in a relationship could be speaking their truth. This is how I want to move forward in high vibrational Aries, Pisces, Libra, just, fair, people having hope and faith and belief, people having learned these lessons, tempering their ego, tempering their defensive nature, dealing with their past pain and heartbreak and their past wounding to be free to move forward with me in life. The Five of Pentacles learns lessons about the Four of Pentacles. The Four of Pentacles was a foundation and a way of living life and viewing life that we had been holding on to. But then we did it, and we lived our life like that for however long. And then it could have felt we were maybe the ones putting in all the work and effort, being loving and encouraging to other people, trying to get them to move forward. But again, that's okay to do that, but not getting in a more involved relationship with them if they're not already. Because if somebody can get you to indulge them in a relationship and they're kind of immature or impulsive or haven't dealt with their past pain and heartbreak or kind of bossy and controlling, have illusions about what it means to be in a relationship, well, if they can get you in the relationship, well, there's no incentive to have to change. They already got you in the relationship. And that's what some people count on. So we kind of learn that even if I could be wounded and I could be sad and things didn't work out the way I wanted, I need to make good decisions in my life because I want to manifest something. I do not want to be in relationships. The Five of Pentacles talks about feeling left out in the cold. And I would like to be in relationships with people who have learned some of the same lessons I've learned. If I'm more just and fair and balanced within myself, have kind of tempered my more immature nature and worked through some of my past pain and heartbreak to be willing to move forward in life and have let the past go, some of those things, I want to be in relationships with other people who've done that. And maybe before I got in relationships without kind of getting to know people well enough to find out what really drove and motivate them. And sometimes people wear a really good false mask, and, we don't know. And sometimes over time, people can kind of get more spoiled, selfish, whatever, Are we willing to see the truth of it and speak the truth of it and try to avoid getting in relationships with people that we already know aren't kind of on the same page as us? And then we want to move forward in life differently, incorporate some of the lessons that we've learned into our philosophy of life and how we make decisions moving forward. And some people don't want to do that. They want to stay in the Four of Pentacles. I have a way of living life, viewing life, and I don't want to do life any differently. And the truth sets us free to live our life differently. And some people are like to live more from their mind than their heart, kind of use their fiery nature, maybe being more motivated and inspired by the world or by themselves or things they like to indulge in. But they might not want to harness their fire sign energy in a more high vibrational way, where if I step outside of my comfort zone, I'm not following a template. And Taurus energy is fixed sign energy, where we could grow up in a family, we could grow up in a community, we could grow up in a country, and whatever. And we have this certain way of viewing life that we think is just and fair. And we're kind of following a template, and that, again, is repeating an old pattern. This is how people I know live their life. This is how my mom and dad live their life. This is how my friends live their life. I don't want to if I move into unknown territory, there is no template for me to follow. I would have to let fire sign energy can be kind of like listening to our more creative, inspired, intuitive nature. Ten of Cups, Pisces energy, emotional water sign energy of hope and faith and belief in your dreams. I'd be creating something new. And some people kind of don't have confidence and belief in themselves to want to step in unknown territory, to let love and intuition be what guides them, and maybe even live their more authentic life. Because high vibe energy is about being more independent from things that manipulate you, people in your life, and the world at large. I have my life. I have my unique talent, skills, interests, and things I find enjoyable that other people might not find enjoyable, from a place of love. Things that drive and motivate me from love. Other people are living their life doing what drives and motivates them from love, but we can like different things, I just want to create my own authentic life, but you have to be bold and brave enough to be willing to be more independent. And sometimes when you're going to be more independent to live your more authentic life, there can be some people in your life that will turn their back to you. Well, if you're going to go live your life that way, then I don't want anything to do with you. And then people aren't willing to go through that period of feeling left out in the cold to go pursue their more authentic life. If some of those people won't come with them, whether that could be their friend group or people in their family, like their immediate family, if those people aren't willing to kind of work together with them and accept that they're their own individual, have the right to live their authentic life, some of those people could be like, well, I don't want you to go do that. I don't want you to move. I don't want you to go to school. I don't want you to hang out with those people. I don't want you to marry those people. And some people are like, okay, if you're not willing to move forward or be okay with it, then I'm not willing to live my life like that. If you're not more independent in the world, then I'm not going to be more independent in the world. If you're living your life like this, then I'm going to live my life like that. And some people, it's not because other people manipulate them or the world. For some, it's just their more self-protective nature, and they're not comfortable doing that. Well, one, I'd have to connect in with my intuition instead of my mind and my fear and my immature nature and my past pain and heartbreak being what drives and motivates the decisions I make in life. I'd have to detach from that foundation. And I'd have to see the truth of how that foundation kind of keeps me defensive and sad. And until they see the truth of it, like, oh, something needs to change here, until they see the truth of it, they are sure this will make them happy. I just got to maybe go find someone else to try to manifest this with. But I don't want to step out of my comfort zone. I don't want to detach from maybe being more bossy or controlling or more about me or living more from my mind than my heart or making my life more about myself or ego or image or indulgence or money or materialism. And we just got to see the truth of it. Other people were inspired to align with their more hopeful, believing, loving nature, and they want to be in relationships with people who are like that. So, some of you already went through this. Some people are going through it. Other people felt left out in the cold in that relationship. There might be these things, the people I'm hanging out with or that I'm in a relationship with, that like to live their life a certain way. That is their philosophy of life. And they might like to live more from their mind than their heart. And that's not my philosophy of life. It might have all these things of the world that people could want in a lot of ways, but emotionally I could feel like it's lacking. I could be in a relationship that in a lot of ways seems just and fair. I could be in a job that seems very just and fair. It could look like I have everything I could want, but if it's not aligned with my truth, it's not aligned with my truth. And if I feel like, I don't know, people are either indulging me for the wrong reasons or having intimacy with me, but it's not really love, I want a deep, meaningful relationship, And it might not seem like that. Am I having to indulge someone else? Am I in a relationship with someone who refuses to be more motivated and inspired by love? What drives and motivates them is something else. Well, am I willing to see the truth of it? So then some people let go of an old way of living life, saw that their truth was different, what they thought was just and fair was different, what they were motivated and inspired by, what they wanted to keep manifesting and was different. So some people detached from those jobs, friendship, or relationship. And then we have the strength card, which is having to temper your own fears and insecurities about the fact that I'm probably going to go through a period of feeling a little left out in the cold and in lack because there's some people in my life that maybe aren't coming with me and they're living their life the way they live it. And I just feel like I'm going through a period of feeling left out in the cold. But high vibe people are willing to do that. And they give themselves, high vibe Leo is also represented by the sun. I'm going to give myself the things that I wish other people would have given me. Because I maybe really wasn't getting it there anyway. Because I kind of felt left out in the cold. So then we have the Six of Swords. So the Five of Pentacles is about seeing the truth of an old foundation. The Six of Swords is seeing the truth about that we have different dreams than other people. Some people it is more looking like a shining star in the world or them being the center of attention and it's kind of more about them instead of working together cooperatively with people to bring a dream into reality. And we see the truth of that. And again, the Six of Swords also then, we could have harnessed our Leo energy differently, where some people in their more worldly Leo energy of self, they're kind of more about those things of the world or themselves. And we want to be in relationships in high vibe Leo energy that are authentic and warm and loving and have been enlightened to the truth that love is what makes it all worthwhile. And we see the truth of it. We move forward. The Two of Wands, I have a dream. The Ten of Swords, one dream is over. And being inspired from the Six of Swords to the Ten of Swords is taking back the Four of Swords. If there was people in my life I was trying to heal a relationship with, I can't make other people love and believe in themselves, work through their fears and their insecurities, get over their more bossy nature if it's shadowy. But I also, if I see the truth that what they think is just and fair and what would make them happy, I gotta, wish them peace. And I'm not going to try to heal that relationship with them anymore, because what we're motivated and inspired by and what we think is just and fair and how we want to live our life is different. So I'm inspired to do this work, and the Six of Swords is Aquarius energy. I'm going to keep looking at life from the bigger picture and not get all caught up in my head. There are these dreams that I have, but I'm going to go with the flow. Have hope and faith and belief in myself. I'm going to keep moving forward in truth and love. I'm not going to sabotage and backstab myself by taking action more out of fear, insecurity, lust, greed, immaturity, codependency. Seven of Wands. I'm going to keep moving forward, being inspired, and stand up for what I believe in. And as I go through this process, I'm going to put an end to my defensiveness about the past. And then the Sun card, Leo energy again. I'm going to have a new beginning, but I'm not going to go have a new beginning until I'm ready. And I'm going to make sure I feel stable and grounded and I've healed from a past relationship and worked through all the emotional confusion of it and have completely detached from that old dream to be ready to move forward in a new beginning. And then we have I'm assuming, I don't hardly ever use this deck. It could be the Page of Wands or the Knight of Wands. The Page of Wands is about making small gestures to people, getting to know people. And it can also be that hopeful, believing spirit. I had to work through within myself what stopped me from more being aligned with my more hopeful, believing, loving nature. And when I am back in that energy, that's when I will be ready to communicate to other people in the world that I'm ready to move forward. I have detached from that old foundation. I am ready to move forward in a new beginning. And the same way, if it's jobs, we're going and looking for a new job. If something happened in a friendship or relationship, we're not on the same page, wishing people peace and love. High vibe Leo and high vibe energy in general is offering love to the situation. I've been at stages of my life when I was more defensive, when I was more immature, when I hadn't dealt with past pain and heartbreak. I can understand that people are in that energy. Can I be hurt? Can I be mad? Yeah, but just like people couldn't make us look at life differently when we were in that energy, when we were younger, we can't make other people do that either. And so, we deal with the truth of what is, because the truth sets us free. And as you do that work within yourself, you will be moving forward in life differently. And some other people in your life, they're going to go repeat an old pattern because they're either still comfortable and aren't feeling the urge. Everybody's on their own journey. If they eventually listen to their intuition, when their intuition is kind of telling them, we've done this enough, and, there comes a time where we got to face our fears to move forward in life a little differently. And everybody feels that way at different times. But there might be some people that will forever never step out of their comfort zone, never align with their more hopeful, believing, creative, inspired, loving nature. And that's our free will choice. So what's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Cancer energy that they might not see coming up? Some of you, as you were moving forward, you could have communicated with some people that you feel do harness a more hopeful, believing, high vibe Aries energy than a more worldly, shadowy Aries energy. And that can be absolutely everybody in your life. Do you have hope and faith and belief in your dreams? Are you inspired to close out an old cycle of life and stand up for yourself and what you believe in and be more authentically yourself and have that hopeful believing spirit? I'm moving forward in this way. Do you want to move forward with me? But it has to be just and fair and balanced and respecting each other as individuals and treating other people the way you like to be treated. And if so, this is how I'm moving forward. And you can come or you cannot come with, but I'm moving forward irregardless. So, and I'm not going to keep indulging people in poor behavior, and I'm not going to indulge poor behavior in myself. And I expect other people to do that within themselves, Discipline yourself, temper your more immature, wanting it your way, bossy, controlling, prideful, defensive, whatever. Do this work within yourself too, so we can have these loving relationships where we care for each other. That, again, high vibe Taurus is where we act with character and integrity. We treat other people the way we like to be treated. What's coming up for high vibe Cancer that they might not see coming? The Three of Pentacles. Why? Because of the Queen of Wands. The Three of Pentacles is Capricorn energy. Shadowy Capricorn energy is represented by the devil. We can create a little hell on earth, or we can create a little heaven on earth. We can align with people in our life who create a little hell on earth. And I think because we live in a world of duality, if our intuition tells us somebody's creating a little hell on earth here, or you are in your own life, and if we're willing to listen to our intuition about it and do this work within ourselves to love and believe in ourselves, and be willing to maybe go through a period of feeling left out in the cold, I believe if someone's creating a little hell on earth, that means life-giving energy, again, in a world of duality, is creating a little heaven on earth. We just have to love and believe in ourselves and align with that within ourselves, and then quit investing our time, energy, and effort into the people in our life who don't seem to be on that page. And so you're freeing yourself from things that manipulated you, that limited you, restricted you, imprisoned you, And when you do that, you also free yourself from people in your life that wanted you to stay in that energy if they're not willing to move forward with you in a more just and fair way, or authentic way, or loving way, or just your dream, you kind of parted paths. Like, I wish you peace, you go live your life. That's just not... I felt like it was kind of starting to... My intuition was telling me it was time to go to the next phase of life. Do you want to come with or not? And you will free yourself. Why? Because in Leo energy, you offered yourself love and encouragement and compassion and forgiveness for the mistakes you've made in life, and you offered it to other people in your life. Everybody is where they're at. I can't change other people. They have to make that choice for themselves. And if that's not what they're driven and motivated by, or how they want to live their life, then, everybody's going to have consequences for how they choose to conduct themselves in the world, right? And my truth is, high vibe Leo, I want more authentic, warm, loving, intuitive, creative, inspiring relationships with people who are free from being manipulated by the world, or their fear, or their ego, or their immature nature, or their lustful nature, or whatever, And I'm going to go find those people. And I think as you move forward in life, because I think judgment goes in favor of people who listen to their intuition, because I think your intuition is given to you as a gift to help you navigate in this world, and it has your best interest at heart, and when we do the work not to keep indulging poor behavior, and we're focused on finding the people who are more on the same page as us, I think we'll find those people. And the Three of Pentacles, Capricorn energy, can represent workplaces, foundations, friendship groups, all those good things, and working together with others cooperatively. Because you're in a different energy than you were before. You're more maybe mature, tempered, inspired, not repeating poor past patterns, being more authentic and hopeful and believing, and other people energetically who also are in that energy want to be around other people who are that way. There's other people in the world that will turn their back to you because you live your life, you harness these energies in a more high vibrational way, and they don't. And then it's kind of like, we're kind of like oil and water. We don't really mix. Can you still get along with people in the world and at work and socially? Yeah. Do I want to date you, marry you? No way. And they don't want to date you or marry you either. And some of them don't want to hire you for a job because if some people are more bossy and controlling or egotistical or immature, they want to have someone in working for them or in relationship with them that they think they can manipulate, because shadowy energy is about, it can be more about trying to manipulate people to get them to do what you want because you're not being truthful and honest and just and fair. So I think you're going to feel more solid, stable, and loving within yourself, which will enable you to move forward. And then as you move forward, which some of you have already done, and you've already communicated to some people, and some of those people have communicated with you already that they want to have a new beginning with you. And some of them are going to communicate with you. And as you move forward in life, you're going to have different people, because we live in a world of duality where you have to make decisions in your life. You're going to have more immature, prideful, people who are the next person who wants to indulge in a relationship with you. And you're going to listen to your intuition and get to know them to illuminate and find out the truth of what drives and motivates them. And the people who you think are more immature, prideful, indulgent, or whatever, those people you're going to leave out in the cold. It's like, sorry, and, I wish you peace, and, but I'm moving forward like this. No longer juggling from the 3 to the 5. There might have been some people in your life that you weren't sure what drove and motivated them. And as some of those people, if you talk to them or they communicate with you, it helps you get clear. Oh, they're not kind of on the same page. And other people, if you meet them, they communicate with you, you realize, oh, neither one of us all of us have kind of detached from certain things, kind of view life differently than we viewed it before, and we're no longer going back and forth about if we want to work together and have a new beginning. We have decided we do, and some of you have already moved on with those or will be moving on with those. What's coming up for the people who might harness a more worldly, shadowy Cancer energy, which again can be people who maybe don't quite realize, some of them do know it, but that they kind of use their emotions manipulatively in a relationship, or try to use the love that other people have for them to manipulate them. What's coming up that they don't see? The 10 of Cups. Why? Because of the 8 of Cups. When people are kind of acting a little unwilling to maybe be more creative, inspired, listen to their intuition, be willing to be more bold and brave and close out old cycles, and they're always going to have some high vibe people in their life that are ready. The 8 of Cups walks away from the 7 of Cups. We live our life at a phase of life, and initially it seems all great and wonderful. But after a while, it's almost like, it's not what it once was, and it can start to become confusing and overwhelming and just not working the way it used to work. And it's all part of kind of the universe trying to tell us that it's time to look at the good things to take with you that were good building blocks in your life and good decisions and ways of thinking and feeling and believing, and the ones that you kind of realize need to go, let go of those things. And then it's time for you to move forward and face your fears. And then the 7 of Cups also is Scorpio energy, which can be people who are a little more emotionally shallow and superficial and kind of more about themselves, more about the things of the world, want to be indulged. And they're hoping other people are emotionally confused about the truth of who they are. And eventually some high vibe people are like, we're never going to move forward, are we? Nothing's ever going to change. You're never going to become more emotionally independent of any of these things. There's things that you have to let go of. Detaching from an old way of living life or viewing relationships or viewing the world or what's more important in your life, or if you're codependent. And some people are never going to move forward in life any differently. And eventually the high vibe people in their life that want these emotional, long-term, fulfilling relationships realize people aren't going to move forward with them the way they want. So they offer themselves that cup of love from the 10 to the 8, letting go of someone that in the 2 of Cups they had love for. But I'm not going to keep, if you're not willing to be more something or change or quit letting your self-protective defensive nature run your life, then I'm going to wish you peace to go find someone else who wants to live their life like that with you. Because that's not what I want to manifest in the world, and I don't find it emotionally fulfilling. If you do, go knock your socks off with someone else. But I'm moving on. And some people are leaving some of those people's lives right now. And when we were more immature or, unenlightened to some truths in life, we had some more emotionally mature, stable, grounded people move on from us. There's consequences for our actions, and some people think, no, I can control everything. And if I can't control someone, I don't want them here anyway. It's like, okay, other people repeated some patterns and eventually, it just wasn't working the way they thought. They were willing to get out of their pride and ego to admit, maybe I've got some lessons to learn. I should temper my ego. Maybe I should look at life from a different perspective, a higher perspective. Do I have hope and faith and belief in myself, in my dreams? What is my dream? What do I need to detach from? What do I need to stand up for myself about? Do I love myself? Do I love my own inner child nature? Am I willing to be a good mother, father, coach voice to myself? Or am I harsh and critical to myself? And then I get in relationships with other people who are harsh and critical to me. If I want to be in high vibe relationships, I need to be aligned with high vibe energy. And then for the shadowy people, they might be surprised that even some people in their friend group, their family group, people who they thought were going to move forward with them forever, some of those people are leaving. Some of those people are communicating the truth. Maybe I think you tried to confuse me about the truth. About why you aren't moving forward with me, why you didn't move forward with others. I might be starting to see the truth that you're kind of more about yourself, or you're kind of bossy and controlling. And you kind of maybe have some weird ideas of what you think is just and fair in a workplace or a relationship. But they're always going to have other people who want to be in a relationship with them. God uses everyone for God's good purposes. And, shadowy people, immature people, bossy, controlling, abusive people, whatever they are, God uses them. Hey, I got some people that are hopeful and believing in love, but they haven't learned about people like you. They're going to come get in a relationship with you. And they have to decide if they're going to do this pattern with you, if this is their truth, or if they love and believe in themselves enough to go find people who are more on the same page as them. Because everybody's got free will. And there'll be other people who are willing to maybe move forward with them in a relationship. Some of them will go through the same thing that some other people had to learn about them. Eventually, a just and fair relationship would be for them to be in a relationship with someone who's like themselves, or driven and motivated by the same things they are, find certain ways of living your life or viewing life emotionally fulfilling. It's just that other people didn't. But high vibe energy is about growing, healing, maturing yourself, being more independent, being just, being fair, acting with character and integrity. And we all got lessons to learn about that. So, the first 30, 40 years of our life, we could go through many cycles because we got all these lessons to learn. And then finally, we could get to the point where we have to pick a path. What's it going to be? Truth and love, or the world, or ourself? And some people are going to pick themselves and these things of the world. And if they can find someone else who is willing to live their life that way and wants to live their life that way, be a just and fair relationship. Because they both find those things emotionally fulfilling and make important in their life. I think eventually they'll find out that if it's not love, it's just the ego and the image and the illusion of it. It's just like having a job. Can you imagine having a job? People get in career fields because of the money and the status, and they don't do what they really love. And it's like torturous every day. And they might get in a relationship that they'd like to walk away from, but they might not be willing to, because then it could require them to step out of their comfort zone, be more bold and brave, or because by worldly standards it looks just and fair. And it kind of looks like they have what people want in the world. They maybe don't have to temper their ego. Nobody's requiring that of them. It just might not, again, not be that emotionally fulfilling, because it is kind of, let's do this because it looks good, maybe more than based on love. But they might stay in it, even though they might want to walk away because it makes just and fair, and they might try to control and manipulate someone else again. And for some people who haven't learned to love and believe in themselves, they might get someone who comes into their life who is more bossy and controlling of them. And that could be to try to get them, really, is this how you want to live your life? Just because it has these things of the world, or because you're fearful of being more independent? Really, you're going to put up with that? And sometimes what goes around comes around. So there you go, Cancer energy. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.